Hey guys, today we're going to talk about UV mapping. UV mapping can be a whole lot, especially when you are a beginner in Maya. I remember the first time I tried to UV map, it was so frustrating. I ended up UV mapping, and when I export my model into Substance Painter, I have an overlap UVs, which is really annoying. So today I decided to touch this topic and show you guys how to UV map. So this is the model we are going to be UV mapping. And I guess I have a speed video of this model in my channel. You can go ahead and watch that. That is if you want to see how I made this. And I have already UV mapped some of the parts of this model. So I'm just going to UV map the remaining parts. So I guess what is left, it's mainly the front part of this model, which is all this we have here. So these are what we are going to UV map. But you need to keep some things in mind. Before you start UV mapping, there are some certain things you need to do. First thing is to make sure that you organize your model, you rename everything and make sure they are all organized. You can see mine from here. And yeah, the name, they're so crazy. Like it's just a personal model. So I just give this any kind of name I want to give it. So once you are done with naming once you are done with organizing your outliner, naming and grouping them the way it's supposed to be, the next thing you want to do is to highlight all your model. When you highlight the model, you want to go over, just highlight everything. You want to go to edit, delete all by type, and then history. This is going to delete all the whole history of your model. Now, if you don't know more about history in Maya, just leave a comment in the comment box and I'm going to touch that. So once you're done with that, you want to go over to modify and freeze transformation, and this is going to zero out all the whole transformation you've done on your model. And finally, you want to go to modify and you for the one to say center pivot, and that is going to center the pivot of your model. But if by any chance if that is not centered, as you can see, it is properly centered, and sometimes it happens that way. But just make sure you are done with all this. Make sure you do this three before you proceed to UV mapping. So now once you are done with all these three, the next thing you need to do is to go into your UV mapping workspace. But not everybody usually go into the UV mapping workspace or the UV editing workspace. You can also go to Windows, General Editors, if I'm correct. Let me see, modeling editors from here and UV editor. It is going to open the UV editor for you just like this. Now, if you want to work with this, go ahead and work with this. But I find this uncomfortable sometimes. But if you have two monitors just like me, you can grab one of these and drop it inside the other monitor and you can work with it that way. But if you don't have extra monitor, you don't want to make use of this because it's going to be troublesome for you. So I'm going to close this. The easy way to use map in Maya is by going over to the workspace from here, click on this drop down menu and switch into the UV editing. Now, when you switch into the UV editing, this is what you are going to get. For the first time, yours is not going to be in the attribute editor. It's going to be in the UV toolkit. This is how it's going to be. And secondly, you are going to be having the shelves here. I just hide the shelves. I really don't like having the shelves in Maya. I feel like it takes some space in Maya. That is why I always hide it. Now, when you look at some of this model, you can see that I already even mapped some of all this model. Okay, so the ones we've not even mapped, we're going to take a look at them. Now, there are so many options here. We have the edit, create, and so on. But I'm not going to touch any one of these. We're just going to focus on UV editing or UV mapping. So the first thing you want to do is to select the part of your model which you want to UV map. So I'm going to start with this part here. And when you select it, you can see how red our UV is looking at this point. So now we're going to hit on Control 1 to isolate so that we're going to focus on just this particular model. So we need to hit on F to frame this, hit on 3 to go into the smooth preview. Now I go into smooth preview because there is something I really want to show you, and I'm going to show you that. Just give me some time. Now this UV is very weird. You can't make use of this. So the first thing you want to do is to go to Edit, Delete, and make sure you delete the UV. Now select your model again, but make sure you are in the object mode before selecting the model. Then you go to Create and select Camera Base. Once you select Camera Base, it is going to project your UV from the point facing your camera, or how you set your camera position in your viewport. That is what you are going to have in your UV editor. Okay, so now what I want to do is just to create a sim. Just one sim is what I want to create here, because this is not a complex model, it's just a pipe. So what I'm going to do is to right click and go into the edge mode. So now once you select an edge loop, I'm just going to double click on one loop to select that particular. I'm just going to double click on one edge to select that particular loop. Now, if you have that loop selected, you want to go over to your UV2 kit here. By default, all these windows are going to be closed by default. Now, I'm going to show you two ways to access all this. I'm going to show you how to make use of the marquee menu, and I'm going to show you how to make use of all these tabs here. So the first one we are going to make use of, it's the tab. So once you have your loop selected, you want to go over to the part that says cut and sew. When you click on that, it's going to open the cut and sew. So now you want to hit on cut, and when you hit on cut, it is going to cut that particular edge. It is going to create a seam right there. Now your model, it's no longer a pipe at this point because you've cut it. Now, how can you tell if you've cut it? So let's click off. When we click off, you can see that we have a white thick line, which is telling us now that at that particular point, we now have two edges there. But if you have not cut, you will see that the orange line is very light. So the moment I hit on cut, you can now see that the orange line is very thick right there. Okay, now once you are done with this, what you want to do next is to right click in your UV editor, right click and hold down and go to UVs. Once you select the UVs, you want to drag and highlight all your UVs. Then you come down to this part here again, which is your UV2 kit. Come down to unfold and hit on unfold. When you hit on unfold, it is going to unfold your model for you. But this is looking very weird. Don't worry, we are going to fix that. So the next thing to do now is to orient the shell and finally lay them out. So we'll go over to arrange and layout from the bottom here, and we're going to hit on orient shell, and finally we're going to hit on layout. Okay, I want to show you guys something. You can see that the model, you can see that our UV shell, it's not straight. So we need to fix that. Now, aside from our UV shell not straight, we have another error here. You can see this is also not straight. It is supposed to be straight, but it is not straight. And this is happening because of we are in smooth preview. And I'm going to show you how to fix that. But before we fix that, let's quickly straighten our UVs. So we're going to right click and select UV shell, select this UV shell, and we're going to come down to the part that says unfold. I will come down to this part that says straighten UVs, and we're going to click on that straighten UVs, and now you can see that the UVs has been straightened and it is really looking good. Okay, now let's fix this. So to fix that error we have there, you want to go over to your attribute editor and go over to your smooth mesh. From here, when you go over to your smooth mesh, we want to come down to the part that says open subdiv control. You click on that. From here, you want to look for the word that say UV boundary smoothing. It is currently set to Maya catwalk black. Click on the drop down menu and select preserve edges and corner. When you do that and go back to model, you can see that all those edges are now straight. So let's go back to Maya catwalk black. You can see that and do this preserve edges and corner. It's going to be straight. Okay, so this is just everything you need to know about UV mapping in Maya. This is how you are going to UV map every particular model you want to remap in Maya. These are just the basics. And this is what you are going to do. You keep repeating and repeating till you are done. Okay, so let's hit on Control 1 to bring back other of our model. So I leave this on purpose because I want to show you guys something. These ones I leave them on purpose because I want to show you guys something. Okay, so first let's select this one, hit on Control 1 to isolate, and we'll go over to edit, delete, select the model, go to create camera base, and this is just going to be easy. And now when to right click, go into the edge mode, select that loop round, come right to this part. And this time we're not going to be making use of the UV2 key. So you want to hold our shift, right click, and look for the word I say cut. And I click on that, it is going to cut. And again, you want to unfold or you want to select the UV. So you right click, select the UVs, highlight everything, hold down shift, right click, go to unfold and unfold. And this is going to unfold the model for you, all the UVs for you. Now you want to right click, go to UV shell, select this UV shell, shift right click and go to orient shell. And once you're done with that, shift right click, go to layout UVs, and this is going to lay out the UVs for you. Now, if you want to straighten this, you can go ahead and straighten the UVs. You can just shift right click and come down to this part, straighten UVs, and that is going to straighten the UVs for you. And don't forget, once you are in the smooth preview, come down to this part here and set it to preserve edges and corner. So this is technically everything you need to know about UV mapping in Maya. Just select create camera base, delete the initial UV, create camera base, and proceed with every other thing. Okay, so now let's go back to what I really want to show you guys. If you take a look at this, let me go into the object mode. This, and this. I'm holding down the caps lock. This, and this. When I isolate them, you can see that they are all the same thing. So the question is, will you go and start UV mapping all these things one after the other? No, you don't want to do that. So I'm going to show you what to do. So we're going to select the first one, which is this one. We're going to work on this one. And now I'm going to edit, delete, select that, create camera base. And I'm going to right click, go into the edge mode, double click to select that edge, hold and shift, double click, select this, and yeah, and also this one, double click to select the edge, double click to select that loop, and finally by selecting the correct loop. Yes, I am. Okay, here I am not selecting the correct loop, so I'm going to hold down Control, double click to deselect. Oh yeah, that is the correct loop. So let me hit on 1 to go back into the normal mode. Okay, so yeah, I'm just gonna leave it that way. So we can go back into the smooth preview. Okay, now we're going to come down to this part, right click, cut, right click, UV, shift right click, I'm going to say. So we're going to highlight everything, shift right click, unfold, and we come down to this part, go to UV share, right click, highlight everything, shift right click, orient share, shift right click, layout, and layout UVs, and this is going to layout. Now if you want to straighten this, you can go ahead and straighten that by just selecting it, shift right click, and straighten UVs, and that is going to straighten the UVs. Now don't forget to go to attribute editor, Maya, Cartoon Clark, and switch it to preserve edges and corner. Now what I want to show you guys is this. We've done all this. Now the question is, are you going to repeat this for all the whole model? Well, in Maya, you don't have to do that. There is what we call transfer attributes. You will be able to copy your UVs from one object to another. So the way you are going to do that is by selecting the object which you have already UV mapped. After selecting that object, you want to select the next object which you want to transfer that UVs. So once you select both of them, you want to go over to mesh, come down to the part that says transfer attributes, click on this option. When the option opens, I'm going to reset the settings. So the only thing you want to do is under the part that says attribute settings, just select component. And when you select component, just hit on apply. And when you hit on apply, you close it, it is going to transfer the UV. So when you select this, you can see we have the UVs here. And when you select this, you have the UVs here. So just select this one, go back to the UV boundary smoothing, preserve edges and corner, and I'm going to repeat this for all these other objects we have here. So you can just hit on G, and that is going to repeat the last command you gave to Maya. So we're just going to preserve edges and corner, select this G, select that one, come over here, preserve edges and corner, select this G, select this, come back here, preserve edges and corner. So I'm going to hit on Control 1 to bring back all of these. Okay, so now I'm not going to even map all these because I don't want this video to be long, but I'm going to leave a link in the description to download this model so that you can go ahead and try it if you want to. Now, what I want to show you guys next is this. So I'm going to select all this part of the model, including this one, H to hide it because they are not UV marks. So I'm going to select all this. When I select all these, you can see how jagged the UV map is looking like. Very crazy, overlapping and not really looking good. But if we go into object mode and try to select all these UVs individually, you can see how organized they are looking. But how are we going to fix that issue of having overlapped UVs? Because if we take this into Substance Painter, we export our model and take it into Substance Painter, we are going to have this error. So what we need to do now is to make sure we lay out our UVs properly, which is also known as packing of UVs. So to do that, you want to highlight your model or all your objects. When you highlight all your objects, you want to go over to modify and look for the part that says layout. Click on this option here. When you click on this option here, you are going to get all this. So the first thing you need to do is to set this to unfold 3D. When you set that to unfold 3D packing resolution, I'm going to take this up to 4K. You can decrease that, or maybe you can use 2K or so on. But for this video, for this, I'm just going to leave it to the default. So I'll go back and hit on reset settings. You can take that up. I'm going to leave all that. Now shape rotation, I'm going to just turn it off for now. I'll come back to that. And for this, I'm going to leave this that way. So we're going to come down to this part here. Texture map size, you can set it to 2K or more than 2K. Now, shell padding and tie padding. Shell padding, it's talking about the distance between each UV shell. You don't want them to overlap and you don't want them touching each other. So you need to make use of the shell padding, but I'm going to skip that for now. And the tie padding is talking about the edge of your UV tie and the UV shell, the distance between the both of them. And every other thing, you can just leave it that way. So now once you're done with everything, just hit on apply, and that is going to lay out the UVs. Okay, take a look at this. You can see that we have issues here. Now, some of the UVs are laid out, some of them are not laid out, and some of them are crazy. Okay, so let's undo this. Why we have this issue is because we still have some history left on our model. So we'll have to select everything, go over to edit, delete all by type, and then history. We'll go over to modify, freeze transformation, modify, and center pivot, but that does not really matter. But if by any chance all this is not working out, you want to do them manually. So I'm going to hit on Alt K to bring back my shapes. I'm going to freeze transformation, delete the history, center the pivot, with this freeze transformation, the history, so on. Just keep doing everything and so on. So you just want to go ahead and do all that. So once you're done, highlight all your models again. And when you highlight all the models, just come down and hit on apply again, and that is going to lay out all the UVs properly for you. You can see everything is looking good, but now you can see that they are still overlapping. So we need to fix all this. So first we need to come down to this part that says shell pre-rotation. I'm going to set this to horizontal. It is going to lay out my UVs on my UV tie horizontally. And we'll come down to the part that says shell padding. So for the shell padding, I'm going to make use of just 10. And for the type padding, I'm going to make use of 10. And once I'm done with that, I'm going to hit on apply. And when I hit on apply, you can see how everything is really looking at this point. So now you can see we have space. Our UV is laid out properly, looking so good and nice. So at this point, you can export this into Substance Painter, paint your text, paint your model or texture your model without having any issues. And that brings us to the end of this video. If this really helped you, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Make sure the subscribe button, ring the bell icon so that you, my friend, don't miss any new tips and tricks I will post in every week. But before we go, if you want to change the rotation again, you can come down to this part, change it to vertical. Once you change it to vertical, just hit on apply and it is going to lay out the UVs for you. So whatever way you want to do it, just go ahead and do it. So once you're done with that, you can hit on layout UVs one more time. That is going to close, or you can hit the close button. See you guys in the next video.